You see some situations where a mentor has two mentees and he favors one and the other mentee doesn't seem to grow. Then you wonder why. You think the mentor is partial. But if you look into the situation, the differentiating factor is honor.
For instance, I'm stepping out of my car and you're rushing at me to help me with my bag. I mean, you want to honor me. But you're this same staff that I see series of emails fly around that you are rude to your supervisor.
That's eye service.
That's high service.
The Industry Minor, creating and nurturing industry giants.
Hey there, watching. My name is Aisha Ochuwa, your host on the Industry Minor podcast. Now, apart from being a seasoned business consultant, I'm also a lawyer and a businesswoman that understands what it takes to start a business from the very grassroots and build it in this kind of economy. Now, because of that, we take our time to bring on board different industry experts, seasoned business experts, and fine thinkers from across Africa. And today in the studio, we have two giants, two industry gatekeepers that have built a business from scratch, allowed the world watch them grow it into something that we consider totally admirable. They are not just partners in marriage, but they are also partners in business. With their strength, they said, two shall become one, and they have shown us that in business, two can do great things together. They are the co-founders of the So Fresh brand, Mrs. Abimbola Balogun and Mr. Olagoke Balogun.
Hello, Aisha. Thanks for having us today.
Thank you. I want to start with you, Ma. What does honor mean to you?
For me, honor is a profound way of expressing appreciation, value, respect to oneself and to others as well. So you can honor yourself and honor others. I think people learn it, but there are standards as well. So the fact that you're not a Yoruba and then you don't greet in a certain way doesn't mean that you don't honor those people. It just means that that's a way of expressing it in your culture. But then honor is still, valuing people, respecting them, appreciating them, and making them feel that sense of positive self-esteem that shows like, I am loved, I am valued, I'm respected.
From a man's point of view,
I think my wife has, captured what honor is. What I'll just add is honor can also be recognizing people for what they do or for their contribution. So I think those are the two ways, we can define honor. But I also like to say that for me, I think the most important part of honor, to honor, is what she has said. First of all, valuing people for who they are, not just for what they do.
Well, what you can get
Or
from
what you
them.
get from them. Exactly. That's what I was looking for, because people tend to focus on the second one, which is what I can get from you. And then in our culture, I found that people would probably, I joke with my wife now that since I started growing white hair, I've noticed that there's been a change in how people treat me. Generally, when I go to places, there's more respect, there's more, because they probably think I'm old, or, they think I've, probably, have some value over the years. But that should not be the first factor in honoring. First of all, the fact that you come across a fellow human being, that human being has value, has worth, and deserves honor.
so let's narrow this down to the corporate world. Is there any memorable experience you have that something happened, something changed in your life because you practiced honor?
Definitely yes. Like I said, for me, honor starts with valuing people for who they are. And that is something that is very core and central to how we build the business and how we build the culture inside So Fresh. I talk to almost every staff about, I call it more respect. And I define it in two ways: that when you join So Fresh, we have to respect each other as human beings, no matter the level you come in, no matter your job responsibility, from the CEO to the cleaner to the accountant. Everybody has a value first and foremost as a human being. So you must respect and value that. The second part of it is that now, because it's a corporate environment, people have roles, people have responsibilities. There are hierarchies, so you must respect hierarchy. If I'm your supervisor, if I'm your line manager, it comes with its own set of expectation, and you must respect that. not even just hierarchy, there are also roles, because you can have someone that, let's say, is a warehouse supervisor, but has a duty to engage with a general manager, maybe operations. The fact that this person is a warehouse manager should not feel intimidated by a general manager because maybe it's higher in hierarchy. There is an honor that that role deserves in terms of adhering to standards of how they operate in that department. And that is what we have lived by. So when people come into So Fresh, I think they had a bit of culture shock. So I'm just going to give a few examples. For example, we have meetings every morning, 8 o'clock. Very short meeting, like an daily alignment meeting, and it's a few chairs, right? Maybe we have up to 10 chairs. If I come to the meeting at 8:01 and the chair is filled, nobody stands up for me. And what you find out is that people that are in the business are already used to that. And so when we have new employees, when I walk in, the first reaction, they want to stand up, tell them to sit down. The sit may be at the last point. I'll now disrupt the meeting because I came a minute to beneath it. Right. That looks so simple. I mean, there are other instances like that looks so simple, but what I find out that it does for me and for the business is that it builds trust. They are open. They feel like they are partners in the business. They are free to walk up to me to have conversations, and it's easy for me to get through to them because we value them for being human.
Humans
And we
first.
treat everybody as equal. We still had this conversation like 2-3 days ago. If I walk into any So Fresh store and I want to step into the kitchen, the most recent production assistant that we employ, let's say 1 2 months, would stop me and ask me to use my hairnet.
Or even hand it over
Or hand it over to Mrs.
Obviously.
For it because
It's the standard.
because it's a standard. And so it helps create that cohesion for us. The fact that we practice in honoring everyone, it helps cohesion within the team, and people have a high, self-esteem, of themselves, and helps them give more to the job where they feel like they are valued, in the workplace.
Amazing.
You know how this conversation is around first names or, adding auntie or Mrs. Of course, at So Fresh, there's nothing like auntie or uncle. But then, even though we don't call ourselves by first names, sometimes they just use the job title. The most important thing is there is that space where everybody gives themselves room to feel respected, regardless of your job title, regardless of your position. Basic good morning. Saying good morning even to a security man, from an MD or from a manager, is an expression of regard. And then seeing yourself as, oh, we are in this together. When I was explaining the meaning of honor, I said it's a way of expressing appreciation to other people. And so when people feel like there's that emotional, connection, regard, it's even way easier to get their buy-in into things, into ideas, into movements that you want to make happen. You must respect people. I think it's a basic form of training, if I would call it training, that every human being must have. However, honor can be, for instance, I'm stepping out of my car and you're rushing at me to help me with my bag. I mean, you want to honor me, but you're this same staff that I see series of emails fly around that you are rude to your managers, to your supervisors.
That's eye service.
That's high service. But you want to play to my space like I'm good, I'm the night. No, so that is not, you're not honoring me. Because if it is, I am still the one in charge of this company that you are trying to disrupt, then it's not working. There's no alignment. So again, honor is just being fair and expressing that basic way of appreciating people across board. Whether I'm your boss or whether I'm lower than you or whether we are same pair, just give it fairly to everyone.
Amazing. Now, I'm very glad I chose this topic. In the course of my business, I've had to interact with different people, not just my workers, but also customers. And so let me start with my workers. Everybody coming to work comes to make money. Nobody necessarily wants to work under anyone. Everybody wants to be a boss of their own, but they have to learn. They have to learn the ropes. They have to start from somewhere to understand the business for those interested in the industry. Some others may come to work because they just want to make money. They don't really care about the industry, just want to get a job anywhere. They don't even care about the job title as long as they can do it and get some money from it. So the first thing is they want to make money. As human beings coming to work, I try my best to respect them. And even when they come for the interview, I tell them, the first thing is you must respect everybody. That's the fastest way to get out of my door when you disrespect. Respect the security man, respect the cleaner, and I try my best to respect them in return because they are humans and they're coming from, different backgrounds.
When you even model it, it's
Yes,
easier.
it's easier for them to replicate.
People to replicate it. So there will still be one or two that are different, but then there's not more.
And I always tell them, under those circumstances, should you use abusive words? Should you be violent towards your colleagues or your superiors? Because respect is reciprocal. If you want to be respected, you have to practice respect. You cannot disrespect your subordinates and expect the person to respect you in return. The person is human first before even being a staff. The person's first option may be to get another job and then shut this door totally and disrespect you to full capacity. So I tell people, respect people as human beings first. That will help you to respect their job title. And I was happy when he touched on that earlier. Also, when addressing issues as the boss, I'm already the boss. They know I'm the boss. I don't need to remind them. I don't need to flaunt it, right? So that understanding makes me as gentle as possible because them already having it in mind that I'm the boss and then me coming in to exert authority on them, it will easily pass off as intimidation. So,
Especially, although we don't call it that, but it could be bullying and intimidation. That's what it is.
Because of that understanding, I try my best to be as subtle as possible when addressing issues. And I always use what I call the sandwich method. So, for instance, I get an email about a staff that is misbehaving at work or came to work late 3 times in a row or did not send out a package or something, right? I know I'm going to scold this person. So I use the sandwich method. Now, what's the sandwich method? When I come in, I throw compliments around. Like, oh, Damola, how are you doing today? Did you cut your hair? Your hair is nice. And the person smiles. The minute I get that response, I throw in my concern. So why didn't you send out those packages early yesterday? The person's already in a light mood for my compliments, still processing it, and then still trying to understand what I'm talking about, but in a light mood. Because a compliment has gone forth to calm the atmosphere. Do you understand?
Even make the person as authentic as possible.
And try to relate with you.
To actually share why.
Exactly.
You don't,
exactly.
that task.
So, after throwing the compliments, immediately I'm throwing my concern. I'm like, why did you send this out? The customer has been, furious. The customer wants a refund. The customer wants this. And the person explains, and then I finish up with a compliment. I say, so because we always hail you that you are the best logistics manager, you will not do your work right. We'll demote you from your position. Everybody laughs, and she feels much better. And then, there's some situations where a staff has misbehaved so much and you have to scold a lot or issue a query. My sandwich method in that situation would be, I come in, I throw in a compliment, right? Flog my concern. The person processes it, leave the person to process it, and then call the person, try to involve the person in 1 or 2 things that makes the person feel included.
Yes, and what would you do differently next time? If you were faced with the same challenge that aid you not to deliver, what would you do differently?
And then I ask you questions like, do you understand why I was that angry? And the person says, it could be yes, it could be no. The person says, yes, I understand. I'm like, okay, so do you think you want me to continue to be that angry? The person says no. I'm like, okay, so what will you say? I will throw in some, banters that makes the person. So I always encourage people, even when people come to me about staffing issues, I tell them, when you want to scold, use the sandwich method. It works all the time. Come in a light mode and leave in a light mode. Because people always remember how you live. They always remember the last thing. Why do you think people forget the nice things you do and remember that one mean thing you did? You can do 99 nice things, and that's the last thing you did. The last memory they had of you is what they will hold on to. Because that was how you left. That's the last memory they have of you. But if you notice people that...
and it doesn't take away from the fact that the lesson has been learned. The message has been passed. It's not just all, lights, mode, and then this, but you have also passed the message across. I love that.
Sandwich method, it works all the time. It works all the time. And everyone I have taught has had good feedbacks about it. Yes. Another reason why I wanted us to discuss this is because of this new generation of staff. Now, if you notice the Gen Zs, the madams and the ogas, they have a certain approach to respect. They have a certain approach to work these days. They hardly last in a job because they cannot find themselves submitting to the authority of the company. Not just the Gen Zs, even the millennials, they feel because they are age mates with their boss, they cannot submit, or they are age mates with whoever they've been asked to submit to. Why should because you got lucky, you want me to respect you, I cannot respect the constituted authority, I won't do that. And you find them going from job to job. And it's the same thing that is being complained about them. Disrespect, nonchalance, poor attitude to work. And if you notice, the poor attitude to work still borders on disrespect. They don't respect the authority that is set out. They don't respect the rules of the company. Because if you respect the rules of your company, you will wake up early and come to work early. If you respect your boss enough to have some fear of anger, of resentment towards you, you would put in the work to, deliver on your job effectively. So I want you to touch on this. What's your take on the attitude to work of the new generation? You can say most of them want to work because they just want to raise extra cash to live the kind of lifestyle. They know that they have responsibilities. So there's nothing for them to lose anyways. Most of them think, oh, if I get fired, I could get another job easily. Forgetting that industry captains are friends. They meet themselves at events. And a recommendation, I tell people, honor is a key. Dishonor is a padlock.
Absolutely.
If you check situations where people got disfavored, the key of that padlock that locks that door is dishonor. You see, you could honor a person and the person goes the extra mile to invest his or her credibility on you. Don't be so poor to the extent that the only thing you have is money. Some people, the only thing they have is money. And when it comes to having people around them, you see there is no road there because they have dishonored everyone. Probably because they are gifted in their field or because they've been lucky enough to have some money, they feel they can disrespect. So what's your take on people not being able to submit to, higher authorities because of some special values or because they've been graced?
I love what Maya said, honor is like a key. And in my mind, I'm like, honor is also like a glue, right? That strengthens and binds relationships together. Over 70 or 65% of our workforce are within that range of, the Gen Zs, and they are doing incredible work at So Fresh. They are resilient, they are vibrant. And because of the environment that we have cultivated, that we have nurtured, when you join, we are already inducting you into an environment that conditions you to align to the standards of the organization. So yes, you can even be coming with your misbehaviors, you can be coming with wrong attitudes. But when you join, and we let you know how things work here, we let you see the big picture, we let you see what's in it for you, if you reshape your mindset to conform to our standards, you see that eventually you get to benefit. People join and their lives are changed. People join with behaviors that could damage their lives. Yes.
People come from different backgrounds.
And they have been shaped by
That's what they know.
a lot of staff have been abused by employers. They've been cheated by employers.
So they're
They've been
defensive.
dishonored by employers. And so when they come, they're already biased because they don't know who you are. They don't know how you will treat them. And so they want to bring this defensive kind of false protection to themselves. And so, well, when you understand human psychology, you understand how to get people to do what you want. You will work your way through, by being smart, by being, empathetic as a leader, and just grooming them, nurturing them to the nature that you really want them to express. So, I mean, it can be a complex subject, the discussion around honor, but sometimes it's not just that they have come to dishonor you, they have come to disrupt. They are just still manifesting the influences that is driving their behavior. And if we understand that as leaders of organizations, of people, we are able to refine them by designing an environment that changes behavior to the positive.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Now let's move slightly away from the work environment. I mean, this still concerns the professionalism of different people, and also pertains to industries. It's the mentor-mentee relationship. You see some situations where a mentor has two mentees,
Right.
and then he favors one, and the other mentee doesn't seem to grow. Then you wonder why. And you think the mentor is partial. But if you look into the situation, the differentiating factor is honor. Yes. Because the one who is growing, who is always getting favors, who the mentor takes to different industry events, takes on trips for meetings, practices honor. And the other one is just there, I've paid you for mentorship, and I'm like...
So we have to even talk about what are the different ways to express honor. Is it just by buying gifts? Is it by calling you once a week? Is it by attending your events? What are these honor? Because it is based on this that will form how the mentor will choose who to invest in more.
So my comment on that will be that I think for every relationship, whether it's when it involves hierarchy, so it could be your line manager, your supervisor to the subordinate, in this case the mentor to the mentee. When there is hierarchy in a relationship, I think it's important for the person on the lower rung, like they'll say, to manage your manager. And what I mean by that is that you need to understand what your manager wants. You need to understand the personality of your manager. Or if you are a subordinate to someone, you need to understand that person, what their likes is, what their needs are. They also have needs. Mentors have needs. So once you understand that, you want to, and you're okay with it, then you want to honor them in line with what, as long as it is not...
What if you're not okay with it, but your mentor would appreciate
So that's what I'm going to. So two things. If you are not okay with it, it's either you exit that relationship.
Yes.
The same thing with yes, because you must be able to give what your mentor, desires or wants, or what will appeal to him or her, or you find a way to, again, like I said, manage that relationship. So I was going to say that as long as it doesn't bother on disrespecting or making you subservient or affecting your self-esteem, I think that a mentee that wants to work with a mentor should be able to adjust to that dynamics and give what the person needs, or what excites or what interests the person. That was a comment I was going to make, that people should understand who they are working with, either in a work setting, in a mentor-mentee relationship, or any other kind of setting. You need to understand, who you're working with. Some people may appreciate you calling them, stopping by, or even sir, some even calling sir, calling on them, checking on them once in a while, coming to their office. Some people may prefer you, showing up physically. Some people may value you going for their events. So if you are a mentee, for example, that is not outgoing or social, you need to sit down and ask yourself, if I want this person to be my mentor. But because if this person is always going out and I appreciate seeing you around, maybe they are doing families, or you help them share. It's not just even to attend. So opening like that, you get involved. It also means that you are now visible to the person. So I think it will be very person specific, and then you would want to honor them in line with what appeals to them as a person.
Circles of forms of relationships. I mean, if you want to keep that relationship, you have to learn the language of the relationship. Some people use love language if it was like a marriage relationship. So, so I mean, you just get to know your mentor, get to know what they would love from you as a mentee, and then play to it.
And an example comes to mind, right? So I like to think that I'm not a very demanding person in a relationship, but as we're just speaking, I remember this. There's one staff that I used to have. The person has left now, and the person knows that I like things around. So I do a lot of research around economics, data. And what does this person do? If the person comes across any document that shares data, shares information, useful and valuable to the business, even after the person left, they will still send it to me. I really value that. I personally value that than you calling me 3 times a month. Like last year, I think the person attended an economic conference and they shared some documents and the person sent it to me. I really value that personally, that for you to say, you
Come to check on you, sir.
Yeah, I come
On what basis? Why?
Yeah. So I think the person
you, sir.
yeah. So I think the person recognized that, and I really place high value on that.
Amazing. I'm still soaking everything in and trying to process. Let's come down to other forms of relationship. But you also mentioned that. Now, I think this is something a lot of people don't pay attention to. People come to us, or we come across people for a reason. We may not understand the reason in that moment. But personally, when I meet people, I tell myself, there's a reason you met this person. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about 2 days ago, and I told her, everybody is important. Everybody has their role. Everybody has their place in your life. You just need to figure out where this person fits in and put the person there. Even the driver has a role to play. The driver has his importance. Your nannies at home have their importance.
Sure.
Your friends, the ones that are rich, the ones that are not rich, the ones that are not as educated as you are, the ones who feel you are better than, everybody has their role. It's called people currency. And one day you will realize the importance of that person. A driver can save your life. A nanny can save your life. A nanny can make your work easier. It's when you have 3 children and you don't have a nanny, you understand that nannies are important. When you miss 2-3 meetings, or you miss some deals because you don't have a nanny to help you, then you understand the importance of a nanny. And this is something people don't invest in. And I always tell people, when you are in any form of relationship, swallow your pride, pay the price, and do what's necessary for that relationship. Value people. A friend can give a recommendation that will open doors to great businesses. I know what I'm saying. I have experienced it. That friend that you feel cannot help your business may know somebody. Now, there are kings and there are the king makers. There are the kings and there are those that know the kings. They may not have the money to give you, but they know who has that money. They may not have the money to give you. They may not even know the person that has that money personally, but they know somebody that knows somebody that can get you access. So the fact that that person comes to you for favors doesn't necessarily
like 6 people away from the
our help.
honestly.
Yes. So it's how you place value on that relationship that will determine if that person will be willing to help you. Let me give you an example. I mentioned something earlier. I said, may we not be so poor that all we have is money. I understood the importance of people currency in 2021. I was pregnant and I had COVID. I went to the hospital. I was placed on oxygen. And when they examined me, they couldn't pick the heartbeat of my baby. It was a main hospital, so they were not allowing COVID patients into the hospital. So what they did was they placed a tent outside where they were attending to COVID patients, and they needed to get my baby out immediately. So they needed me to get to another hospital that was accepting COVID patients. There was just one hospital that was coming to everyone's mind, and I don't want to mention the name of the hospital. But we were trying to get across to them, and they said there was no ambulance, they were not accepting new patients. It was chaotic. I was getting in a more critical situation. They still could not pick the heartbeat of my baby after 4 hours, and everybody was restless. So one of the nurses came to me and asked me if I knew anybody in that hospital. So before we contacted the hospital, they said the fee for delivery was 15 million. If you remember that period, you will know that delivery was expensive for COVID patients. It was expensive. You can confirm it. No, it's verifiable. You can verify it. It was between 13 to 15 million, depending on the hospital. So they said that hospital was charging 15 million. And other people were like, no problem, send the ambulance. So it was not a question of the money, but it was a question of getting in. And we needed to know somebody there because they're not accepting. So that you know anybody that can speak to one of the executives to create an exception for you. But I did not. Now, that reminded me of an event I went for the year before. And I met someone that introduced herself to me. And she walks in. She was one of my customers. And she said, oh, I buy from you. I work at so. I am the so, an important position in the hospital. And I was so nonchalant, I did not even get her number. I did not even remember her name. I just greeted her shabbily and said, oh, okay, thank you for patronizing. And that was it. And I moved on. In that moment, I appreciated people currency. If only I had been careful enough. If only I had tried to establish some form of relationship with that person. We were able to get another hospital that, came around, and then we went all the way to the mainland, an isolation center. That was where I had my baby. Yeah, I had a safe delivery, but that experience shaped me. From that minute, every encounter was important. For everyone I came across, I just picked it and said, oh, there's a reason. Nothing happens by chance. And I put in the effort to nurture that connection, to pour in every respect I can to keep that relationship alive. Now, one of the things I do is honor. The people I meet and I honor them so much, I respect them so much, call them the sir, the man, they're like, calm down, it's not that serious. I'm like, allow me, allow me reverence you. Especially when I meet great people. Because greatness, there's a way I perceive greatness. Yes, we're all born great, but for it to manifest, it takes careful planning, it takes effort, it takes investment in yourself. It takes some level of excellence.
Discipline,
consistency. So profound that we noticed it and that you have been, recognized for it. So it's not necessarily you, Mrs. Abimbola, your person, your human that I'm respecting. It is your years of dedication to develop yourself to the person that you have become that I'm respecting. So even if you are 18 years old and I notice that excellence in you, I will honor you. When I go to my friends' offices, when I go to people's offices, right, the way I sit and respect myself, right, I don't just scatter. I may see you, you may come to my house and I'm slapping your head and calling you by your first name, but for the fact that I'm in your place of excellence, you will notice the difference in my composure. Some people walk into your office and they see all the awards and they just like, we got lucky. No. Each award lined up on that wall is a testament to years of excellence that has been noticed. And service, discipline. And that's one thing people don't focus on. So when they meet people, they're like, oh, this person calls me every time. Especially in mentor and mentee relationships, it is very common. You show a mentee favor and the person just gets used to it. See finish comes in. And the person says, oh, my mentor likes me. No. Don't lose that respect that made your mentor to like you. How about you continue to water it? That's the fact that your mentor has noticed you should be basis for you to pour in more honor to get favor. So your mentor can invest his or her credibility on you. Because human beings, see, a human being can either be a door, a key to open the door, or a key to shut the door. It depends on how you nurture that relationship.
It will depend on
That's what would
what you get.
So now this brings me to my next question. As a parent, how do you impute the attribute of honor in your kids?
So I think the answer is simple. I think it's it's modeling, and it's modeling what you want to see in there. My parents, my dad, really worked on our minds at a very young age, and I can remember this conversation very vividly. That once a child crosses 5 years old, the foundation for a child's character, attitudes later in life is built in the first 5 years. And in the first 5 years, what basically happens is the child, absorbs everything it sees in his environment. So, I mean, in terms of honor, it starts by, first of all, actually even respecting the child, right? Yes, they're babies, yes, they're small, yes, they're growing, but respect them. I always remember um how my dad treated us, as children. Now thinking about it, I don't know if our opinion counted, but when he was going to do major things, he involved us. If we wanted to buy a car, if we wanted to change the house, if we wanted to do this, he would ask our opinion and we'll all talk. I don't know whether it used to matter then, but it gave us that sense of
Involvement.
involvement. You have value, you have something, you have worth. So I think that's the first thing, respecting them and letting them see the value that they have. Because what usually happens, and like they say that hurt people, they hurt others. If you raise a child that has a high self-esteem, it is very unlikely that they would disrespect, dishonor, or bully others. So I think from the home is about what you model to them, what they see, how you talk to them, how you engage them, how you interact, you and your wife or spouse. They take a lot between how father and mother relate. They might not talk, they might not express the things they have picked up, but they absorb a lot. They also absorb how you deal with your domestic workers, how you treat them,
others.
how you treat others, how you talk to them, how you give them instruction. They absorb all of that.
Correct.
Even on the road, there are times. I mean, I like to think I'm one of the calm Nigerians, but there's no way the thing will not come out once in a while. And when I find myself, maybe driving and then I react to somebody that drove, like a crazy person, and I will say, Daddy, what happened? Why did you do that? Why did you shout at him? I catch myself immediately because one, I don't do it often, but the time I do it, she notices it and she asks me, why? And she keep asking, I say, don't worry. I was just trying to say, but why did you shout? So even at times they don't talk, they absorb everything. So I'll say it's really how you model relationship, how you respect people, how you honor people. I think that's the first of all. The second part is also that as a Christian, for example, you teach them in the word of God in line with the precepts of the Bible. So teaching, and even if you're not a Christian, other faith or no faith, there are principles. But I think the most important part is what they see you do. They are going to follow suit.
For me, really, it's in the simple things. It's in the simple things. When he was speaking, I was just thinking about my 3-year-old. Like, we have 16-year-old, 13 and 3-year-old. And you know how parenting, was when I was, raising, my first son, he collect beating very well. But this new one, it's the magic words. Even if they are old or they are young, the 5 magic words.
Please,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
excuse me.
thank you. Even the thank you goes a long way, right? When we work with people and we say thank you,
Some are
I feel
surprised.
like you're surprised. So I mean, people are just formed by certain different ways, the way they've been managed. So, well, I'll say it's in the simple things. It's in what we say. It's in what we don't say. It's in the apologies, even when you go out of line. So it's like give and it will come back to you.
Even to them,
Give.
tell them sorry and
Yes,
thank you when they
yes,
did
when
it for you.
yes, even though they are kids, because it's these things that they are learning. Remember, I said honor is a learned behavior, and if you don't like what you are seeing, it's time to unlearn it. If you are not getting the feedback that you're supposed to get, unlearn it and try new things. So yes, it's in the simple things. It's in greeting ourselves at home. It's in caring for one another. It's in looking out for one another. It's in buying gifts on our special days, birthdays. It's also a form of expressing that you're special, right? You matter, right? And even giving your nanny cakes on their birthdays.
Your kids are seeing
Your
those
kids,
things.
they are seeing it and it will really touch their hearts because they know that these people are working for us.
But you're also
they are red, but they are also human. So so it's in everything that we do, that we don't do, that all counts. You use the word consistency. Consistency compound over time, and that's how we have raised our children to ensure that they even have a healthy self-esteem on their own. So even if you go out and the ones that were not well raised sort of hurts them, they know that shouldn't change how I see myself. It's not on me, it's on them. So we try to have conversations as much as possible. We use every experience as a teachable moment as well. What did you learn from this? What would you do next time? Oh, come and help me. You did well. Great job. So I kept emphasizing the word environment. It's in the environment that we provide for them to feel safe, for them to feel love, so that they will pay it forward, so that they will continue the cycle, and then it goes on and on.
Like they say, you can always tell the ones that were raised with love and the ones that were not. The difference is in the way they react to things.
Because it's learned it, so they
Yes.
will express it. It is what you learn that you will give back.
I guess we all agree that charity begins at home, right? So as parents, we should try to imbibe the culture of love in our kids. She mentioned the 5 magic words. They are very important because it's these same kids that will grow and become the adults that we employ in our companies, right? And if they do not have the right approach to life, they do not have the right attitude, there's no way they'll be able to relate with their colleagues, their superiors in the appropriate way. Some people, you'll be amazed that some people are shocked when you're polite to them because they don't come from environments where parents show them respect. So they don't see why, you mentioned something earlier that some staff are defensive even when there's no offense. So even without you doing anything for them to be that defensive, they just feel
like you want to.
Value and credibility can get you in the door. But 90% of the time, your attitude will keep you in the room.
Oh yes, attitude is everything.
It will keep you in the room so you can be very valuable. You can be, but your attitude.
Absolutely.
Something happened one day. I was trying to employ someone, and I don't joke with the with the recommendations, the references. I always confirm. But coincidentally, I saw the name of someone I was cordial with. And then I told her, oh, I'll get back to you. Let me do 1 or 2 things. And I told her to go wait. And then I called my friend. And I was like, oh, somebody came to apply for a job in my company. And I mentioned it. So I was like, very talented, though, but please, my hands are not there. Oh. And I was like, oh no. Talented, but bad behavior. Was I willing to deal with somebody with a bad behavior in my company? No. And that did not give her a job.
And what you have shared is very profound, right? You said something that is, these children that we raise that become, staff and work in our companies. But beyond that, they're the husbands, they're the wives, they become customers. And something I'm also very passionate about is the very poor service culture that we have, as a country. And I say it all starts from the upbringing, because a lot of the times the people we employ have not learned how to give good customer service. They've not learned how to respect and be polite to others, including customers. So I like to say that it feeds off each other. We've been doing this for 15 years, and sometimes, when customers call me, automatically they disrespect and have a mindset that they are better or higher than the people that are serving them, and they talk to them in that manner and they relate to them in that manner. And then sometimes some staff can't manage it, they get defensive, and then it just degenerates from there. So really, I think that it's very important conversation that we are having. It's not a regular conversation, but it's a very important conversation around what we value as a community. And I'm talking of Nigeria as a whole now. I was reading a tweet yesterday, and the person said, beyond what we see on the news about Americans, they are one of the most helpful, respectful people. You find somebody on the street of the US, they don't know you, they help you, they smile with you, they talk with you, and they show you respect and kindness. And that's something I think that's, builds from, like say, it's a learned behavior. And, I believe that investing in how we raise our kids, how we talk to people that work with us and all of that has a big impact on the larger society. Because at the end of the day, if we say that, you had mentioned that, if we say that, maybe some younger workers, new generations, they're being disrespectful, they are not honoring, they learned it from somewhere. They learned it
Came to
from
the roots.
yeah, they learned it from their environment. So I think it's very profound, and it's something that for every parent should really think about. Every uncle, sometimes you have kids that don't stay with their parents, or even in a position to nurture
Nurture.
or grow
Your
a child.
child.
You want to invest in them, invest in their attitude, their behavior right from a young age. And that's where we can really transform and change society.
I think that is profound. He has said it all, but I just want to quickly sort of provide a balance. Yes, the example was customer to staff. Let's look at staff to customer. It is the madam that has entered with, maybe a range, or someone that has carried a very expensive bag that they want to greet excessively and be very nice to offer you this, or someone who just, gently strolls in. You don't even know if this person was coming from another compound. Their range is there, but they strolled into your store and they look so unassuming. They don't look rich, like you have projected rich on some people, and then you treat that person, very poorly. It's wrong. So I think what I'm taking away from this conversation is just for us all to value people, to value people, to treat people kindly, not because of what they have, not because of who they are, not because of what they have become today,
But because they're human.
but it's because they are human and they've got potentials to be great. So let's just be kind to one another, and let's just let the love flow.
Amazing. Let the love flow. Amazing. So when we come across people, let us put in the work to value them, to respect them as humans, not because they came there in a Range Rover, not because they have an orderly following them holding their bag, but because they are human. And because everyone is important. Your nanny is important. Your security man is important. Your driver is important. Your boss is important. The fact that the person is your boss, give the person the respect for even being your boss. My boss is a stupid man, my boss is a stupid man, but stupid enough to employ you, stupid enough to pay you every month. You speak bad about your boss, but you want the signature of the boss to open doors for you. How will it work? Even the universe will not allow it to work. So try to honor people. And parents, you heard what they said, they are parents. I'm also a parent, and we understand the importance. So parents, your children will go out and mingle with other people's children. What will they teach the people they mingle with? Your children will grow up and become adults that will come to work in our companies. Are they employable? It's not about giving them the best education. They can have the best degree from Harvard, but if with a bad behavior, they will not last in the company. And you find people going from company to company looking for a job every other month. So let's try our best, to work on our character and imbibe the attitude of honor. This will not only help us have better, staffs in our organizations, but will also make the country a better place to live in. Thank you so much, sir and ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us today. Your contributions have been invaluable. Thank you so much for, taking out the time from your busy schedules. And we are sure the audience have learned quite a lot from this conversation today. So make sure you watch this video again and, share with your loved ones, because this is something that everybody needs to learn from. Till we meet again on the Industry Minor podcast, I still remain your host, Aisha Ochuwa. Thank you.